Few television dramas have managed to embed themselves into cultural memory quite like Little House on the Prairie. Airing from 1974 to 1983, it arrived at a time when American television was shifting between the escapist comfort of earlier family sitcoms and a growing appetite for more emotionally grounded storytelling. Set in the late 19th century frontier town of Walnut Grove, the series followed the Ingalls family as they navigated hardship, moral dilemmas, and the slow, often painful rhythm of pioneer life. At its heart was Charles Ingalls, played by Michael Landon, and his daughter Laura, portrayed by Melissa Gilbert, whose perspective shaped much of the series' emotional identity. What made the show remarkable was not just its historical setting, but its ability to translate that setting into universal human experiences. Viewers weren't simply watching life in the 1870s, they were seeing reflections of contemporary struggles, poverty, prejudice, family tension, and survival. The tone was warm but never simplistic. Each episode carried an emotional weight that made Walnut Grove feel less like a fictional town and more like a shared memory among millions of viewers. By the time the series approached its final years, it had already become a staple of American television culture. Families gathered weekly not only for entertainment, but for a sense of continuity and moral storytelling that was increasingly rare. Even after it ended, its presence lingered in reruns, syndication blocks, and audience nostalgia, setting the stage for a conclusion that would become one of the most talked-about finales in television history. Walnut Grove as a living world of storytelling. Walnut Grove was more than a backdrop. It was a carefully constructed emotional ecosystem where every building, relationship, and conflict contributed to a larger sense of community. The schoolhouse, church, general store, and surrounding fields were not just set pieces but narrative anchors that allowed the series to explore different aspects of frontier life. Through them, the show created a rhythm of everyday existence that balanced simplicity with struggle. The Ingalls family served as the emotional center, but the town itself functioned almost like a collective character. Neighbors interacted not as isolated figures but as interconnected lives, each episode weaving personal stories into the larger fabric of rural survival. Whether dealing with crop failures, illness, or moral disputes, the residents of Walnut Grove consistently reflected a shared resilience that became central to the show's identity. What distinguished the series from many of its contemporaries was its willingness to slow down storytelling. Instead of relying on fast-paced plots, it focused on emotional progression, allowing relationships and conflicts to breathe over time. This pacing gave viewers space to invest deeply in the characters' lives, creating a sense of familiarity that extended beyond the screen. Over the years, Walnut Grove became symbolic of an idealized yet emotionally grounded version of community life. Even when the stories turned dark or challenging, the town remained a place where problems were faced collectively. That sense of unity would later make its eventual destruction in the series finale all the more powerful and controversial. The cast, creative control, and emotional anchors. At the center of Little House on the Prairie was Michael Landon, whose influence extended far beyond his role as Charles Ingalls. He was also a writer, director, and executive producer, shaping much of the series' tone and direction. His creative vision emphasized emotional sincerity, moral clarity, and deeply human storytelling. Alongside him, Melissa Gilbert's portrayal of Laura Ingalls Wilder provided the audience with a grounded, evolving perspective that carried the series through its many narrative shifts. Karen Grassel, who played Caroline Ingalls, added another layer of emotional stability to the family dynamic. Together, the core cast formed a believable family unit whose chemistry became one of the show's strongest assets. Their interactions often blurred the line between performance and lived experience, contributing to the show's reputation for authenticity. However, this close-knit on-screen dynamic was not always reflected behind the scenes. The intensity of production, combined with Landon's significant creative control, sometimes led to friction among cast and crew. Decisions about scripts, character arcs, and screen time were often centralized, which created both efficiency and tension within the production environment. Despite these challenges, the emotional foundation of the cast remained strong in the eyes of viewers. The relationships portrayed on screen carried a sincerity that resonated deeply, even when behind-the-scenes dynamics were more complicated. This duality, between harmony in storytelling and complexity in production, became part of the show's long-term legacy, cultural impact, and emotional resonance across America. During its run, Little House on the Prairie became more than just a television series. It became a cultural touchstone that reflected and shaped audience values. At a time when television was beginning to explore more urban and cynical narratives, the show offered something different: a return to rural simplicity paired with moral storytelling. This combination made it especially appealing to families seeking programming that could be watched across generations. The series often tackled themes that were surprisingly bold for its time, including racial prejudice, disability, addiction, and social injustice. These stories were not treated as abstract issues but as personal, emotionally charged experiences that affected the residents of Walnut Grove directly. This approach allowed the show to engage with serious topics while maintaining its family-friendly identity. Its emotional resonance was amplified by its consistency. Viewers could rely on the show to deliver narratives that were both comforting and thought-provoking. Over time, it created a shared cultural language where references to specific episodes or characters could instantly evoke recognition and nostalgia. Even after its original broadcast ended, the series maintained a strong presence through reruns and syndication. It became a fixture of daytime television, introducing new generations to its storytelling style. This ongoing visibility ensured that its cultural impact extended far beyond its original airing, cementing its place in television history. Michael Landon's creative authority and vision. Michael Landon's role in shaping Little House on the Prairie cannot be overstated. As one of the most influential creative forces behind the series, he exercised a level of control that was uncommon in television production at the time. His responsibilities spanned acting, directing, writing, and producing, giving him near-complete oversight of the show's artistic direction. Landon's storytelling philosophy emphasized emotional honesty. He believed that television should reflect real human experiences, even within historical or idealized settings. This approach led to episodes that often blended sentimentality with difficult subject matter, creating a tonal balance that became the show's signature style. However, this concentration of creative authority also came with challenges. While it allowed for a unified vision, it sometimes led to disagreements with co-creators and production staff. Differences in opinion regarding narrative direction and character development occasionally created tension behind the scenes. Despite these complexities, Landon's influence ensured that the series maintained a consistent emotional identity throughout its run. His ability to shape both the intimate family moments and the broader thematic arcs gave the show a cohesion that many long-running series struggle to achieve. His vision ultimately defined not just the series itself, but its enduring legacy in television history. Behind-the-scenes tensions and personal complications. Like many long-running television productions, Little House on the Prairie experienced its share of behind-the-scenes tensions. The intensity of production schedules, combined with the emotional demands of the storytelling, created an environment where creative disagreements were almost inevitable. Michael Landon's significant authority within the production often placed him at the center of these dynamics. Some cast members reportedly experienced friction related to pay disparities, character direction, and screen time. Karen Grassel, for example, was among those who expressed dissatisfaction with aspects of her professional experience during the show's run. These tensions, while not uncommon in the industry, contributed to a more complex picture of the series' production environment. Adding to this complexity were personal developments within the cast and crew. Landon's relationship with makeup artist Cindy Clerico, which began while he was still married, became a significant point of emotional strain within the production circle. For Melissa Gilbert, who viewed Landon as a mentor and father figure, the situation was particularly difficult and led to a period of estrangement. Despite these challenges, the professional output of the series remained consistent. The emotional depth seen on screen often stood in contrast to the complexities behind the camera, highlighting the difference between storytelling and production reality. Declining ratings and the end of an era. By the early 1980s, Little House on the Prairie began to experience a natural decline in viewership. After nearly a decade on the air, audience tastes were shifting, and television networks were increasingly focused on newer formats and contemporary storytelling styles. While the series still maintained a loyal fan base, its ratings were no longer as strong as they had been in earlier seasons. NBC ultimately decided to conclude the series, not due to controversy or scandal, but because it had reached the end of its commercial viability. The decision marked the closing of a long chapter in family television programming. However, the manner in which the series concluded would ensure that its final moments remained unforgettable. Rather than fading quietly, the show built toward a dramatic conclusion that reflected both narrative finality and emotional intensity. This approach was consistent with Michael Landon's storytelling philosophy, which often favored strong emotional resolution over gradual endings. The decision to end the series in a definitive and dramatic way transformed its final episode into a cultural event. What might have been a simple conclusion instead became one of the most discussed television finales of its era, ensuring that the series would remain part of public conversation long after its cancellation. The Final Farewell and the Destruction of Walnut Grove. The series' conclusion culminated in the 1984 television movie The Last Farewell, a final chapter that delivered one of the most shocking moments in television history. In this story, Walnut Grove faced a powerful landowner intent on taking control of the town's property. Rather than allowing their community to be seized, the residents made a collective decision that would forever define the series' ending. In a dramatic and symbolic act, the townspeople destroyed their own homes using dynamite. The schoolhouse, church, and general store were all reduced to rubble in a sequence that stunned audiences. This was not merely a narrative conclusion. It was an emotional statement about loss, identity, and control over one's own story. The destruction was filmed using practical effects on the actual set, which added a layer of realism that intensified its impact. Viewers were not just watching fictional buildings fall, they were witnessing the literal end of a world they had inhabited for nearly a decade. The moment became one of the most iconic in television history, remembered both for its emotional weight and its bold storytelling choice. It transformed the ending of Little House on the Prairie into something far more permanent than a typical series finale. Reality, myth, and the legacy of the set's destruction. Over time, the destruction of Walnut Grove became surrounded by myth and exaggeration. One of the most persistent claims was that the sequence involved uncontrolled or dangerous production methods, or that it was later banned from broadcast. In reality, the scene was carefully planned, filmed, and aired without controversy from networks at the time. The decision to demolish the set was driven by a desire for narrative finality and practical production considerations. Michael Landon reportedly wanted to ensure that the town could not be reused or repurposed after the series ended. This gave the conclusion a sense of permanence that matched its emotional tone. Despite its controlled execution, the visual impact of the destruction left a lasting impression on audiences. It became symbolic of the end of an era in television storytelling, where long-running series were given definitive closures rather than open-ended fade-outs. The mythologizing of the event over the years only added to its cultural weight. As stories were retold, the finale grew larger in collective memory, sometimes diverging from the actual production details. This blending of fact and legend contributed to its status as one of television's most unforgettable moments. Audience reaction and the evolution of television memory. The reaction to the finale was deeply divided. Many viewers saw the destruction of Walnut Grove as a powerful metaphor for loss and resilience. To them, the act represented a community choosing dignity and control over passive decline. It was seen as a bold and meaningful conclusion to a long-running narrative. Others, however, found the tone jarring. For a series long associated with warmth, family values, and moral storytelling, the sudden shift toward destruction felt unexpectedly harsh. This contrast led to ongoing debates about whether the ending was appropriate for the show's legacy. Over time, however, the finale became more widely appreciated as audiences reconsidered its symbolic meaning. Rather than viewing it purely as destruction, many began to interpret it as a statement about change, impermanence, and the end of collective eras. In syndication, the finale was often less frequently aired, contributing to a perception that it was somehow separate from the series' main identity. This selective memory helped shape the show's nostalgic reputation as a gentler, more pastoral experience than its full narrative actually reflected. Bold storytelling and the depth beneath nostalgia. While Little House on the Prairie is often remembered for its wholesome imagery, its storytelling frequently ventured into difficult and emotionally complex territory. The series did not shy away from exploring topics such as illness, prejudice, grief, and trauma, often presenting them in ways that were unusually direct for family television of its time. Episodes dealing with subjects like abuse, disability, and social exclusion challenged viewers to engage with uncomfortable realities. One of the most talked about examples involved storylines that addressed violence and exploitation, pushing the boundaries of what was typically shown in prime-time family programming. This willingness to confront difficult issues gave the series a depth that is sometimes overlooked in retrospective discussions. While its tone remained hopeful, it did not avoid depicting suffering or moral ambiguity. Instead, it framed these experiences within a broader message of endurance and community support. This balance between comfort and confrontation is a key reason why the series continues to be discussed decades after its conclusion. It managed to exist in two emotional registers at once: nostalgic simplicity and serious thematic exploration, enduring legacy and the meaning of a final goodbye. More than 4 decades after its conclusion, Little House on the Prairie continues to occupy a unique place in television history. Its blend of emotional storytelling, historical setting, and moral exploration ensures that it remains relevant to discussions about the evolution of family television. The decision to end the series with the destruction of Walnut Grove remains one of its most defining artistic choices. Whether interpreted as excessive or profound,